Hello, hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to Not Just Nintendo, a video game podcast that is about Nintendo. But it's not just Nintendo here at Not Just Nintendo, as we talk about other video games as well. And by we, I mean just me, because I am solo on this endeavor. Today is episode 11, and when you're seeing this, there are 36 days until the Switch 2 releases, which means next episode there will be 29, which is less than a month. So next episode there will be less than a month until Switch 2. That's pretty exciting. Because, I don't know, because it is, it's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting stuff, Switch 2, it's going to be pretty exciting, it's going to be a Switch 2, it's also going to be a Switch. Anyways, so Switch 2, that's exciting. I don't really know what else to say beyond that. And that's kind of the theme of this episode. I don't know what to say, because I don't know what to talk about today, because, yeah, I don't. I will say, so when I first started this podcast, I put it on rss.com, was the host I was using. I didn't realize RSS lets you do a podcast for free, but only like one episode. So I had it on RSS, and I had to immediately move it over to Podbean. So I put it into Podbean, I started hosting on Podbean, but then I realized I was running out of episodes for the month. You could only have like a few episodes or 5 hours of content or something. So then I moved the podcast again from Podbean into Spotify. But apparently it didn't work properly, so now, since it's been however many days, maybe 90 or so, now they're telling me that if it doesn't get imported properly, then it might get deleted. So I don't know if it's in there properly or not. I don't really know how you figure that out. So it might get deleted in 2 days. Maybe the podcast will get deleted. But if it does, I think it'll stay up on YouTube. It just will be gone on Spotify. So I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen. But if it happens, it happens. And if that happens, I'm just gonna do it on YouTube only, because I don't want to have to deal with freaking these Spotify and stuff. If it doesn't get deleted off Spotify, I think that's going to promote me to go put it on other platforms. So I might end up doing that. We'll have to see. But yeah, the podcast might be deleted off Spotify here soon. If it is, I honestly don't think I'm even going to bother putting it back up. I'm just going to do it on YouTube. But if it's not, then great, right? Fantastic. Okay, so this is episode 11. I already said that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't beaten anything else since last week. I did start a couple things. Well, no, I didn't really start anything. Well, I started starting a couple things. Well, that doesn't make any sense. There were a few free games. There's been a lot of free games. That was one of the big things about having a PC that can play video games. One of the big things is claiming the free games that you get, mostly on the Epic Game stores where you get most of the good ones. But there's stuff on Steam as well from time to time. And so I'm definitely sure to claim all that stuff. And there was a game on Steam, it was free maybe a month ago or so, called Atmosphere. And atmosphere, right? It has nothing to do with the atmosphere. But it does have something to do with a sphere. There's a sphere that you kind of roll around, and you roll it on these like medieval style levels. It's 3D and stuff, and I don't know really where I'm going with this. But anyways, so you roll this ball, and you're supposed to, get it to the end of the course, and there's checkpoints, and it's a pretty standard thing. I think it's well designed, this Atmosphere game. It's well designed. The problem is, I'm just like, a lot of puzzle games just aren't my thing. Some puzzle games are, I like some puzzle games, but there's a lot of puzzle games. I don't even know exactly what to describe as the type of puzzle game I don't like, but there's a number of them that I don't like, and there's a number of them that I do like. Anyways, my point is, this is one of the ones I happen to not like. So it was free, I tried it out for a little bit, didn't really like it too much, and I dropped it. I guess the other thing that I started was Doom. I was talking about last week how I was going to, I think I mentioned that I was probably going to buy that Doom Classic Collection, and I did in fact buy the Doom Classic Collection. So I am now the proud owner, only digitally though, so that kind of sucks, but I'm the proud owner of Doom 1, 2, 3, and 64. So that's terribly exciting. I started Doom 1, and I got a few levels in, and I got stuck, and I'm probably going to come back to it, but I'm just a little stuck, and I don't know, I've got other stuff I'm playing as well, so not too worried about it. But anyways, yeah, I started playing Doom, and Doom's pretty good. It's a pretty good game. Turns out, it's I don't know, it's a good game. I don't know what else to say about it. Um, I'll have a lot more to say about it when I actually go back and play it some more, because that's how that goes, right? The more you play something, the more you have to say about it. Um, so yes, I bought Doom, and like I said, I have Doom 2, 3, and 64. And I do also have Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. So I technically have every mainline Doom game. There's like some mobile games, there's a couple spin-offs, a couple things like that, a couple expansions, standalone little things. But as far as the main series games, I have them all that are out because Doom the Dark Ages is coming out in about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks. But about 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks from when you're seeing this or something like that. So it's coming out in 2 weeks basically, and I'm not gonna like buy it right away, because I'm not there yet. Why would I even bother unless I've played all the games up until that point? So I'll buy it later in the year, probably, maybe early next year. I don't know. I feel like I'll probably get through that stuff this year, but we'll see. So maybe later this year I'll buy it, and maybe it'll be cheaper by then. Maybe it won't be. Maybe I'll still just buy it for full price. Who knows? I'm guessing I'll probably buy it on Switch. No, sorry, not on Switch 2, on PS5, unless it gets announced for Switch 2, in which case I'll consider it. But I'm not like positive that that's where I'm gonna buy it if it does come to Switch 2. I might still just buy it on PS5, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm not gonna buy it on Xbox though, even though I have Doom and Doom Eternal on Xbox. I do usually like to have stuff on the same platforms, but I've definitely moved away from buying anything on Xbox if I can help it. Doom 2016 was like $3, and Doom Eternal I think was like 10. So I was like, yeah, sure. That's why I bought those two. Um, Generally, though, I probably would have bought those games on PS4 instead. Well, actually, I didn't have a PS4 when I bought the one, so. Or I still don't have a PS4, but I have a PS5, so I can play PS4 games. But yeah, when I bought Doom Eternal, I actually didn't have a PS4, so I guess, that's why I did that. But since then, I bought Doom 2016 as well because it was cheap. So cheap is the best price for games as far as. Well, actually, I guess free is the best price for games, but cheap is the second best price for games when it as things go. So speaking of games, I was talking about last week how I had to file my Xbox games, and I'm here to say that I did not do that. I honestly I have been a little bit busy in the last week, and I'm going to continue to be busy this week. It's quite the busy week. I'm actually recording this on Monday, and I have like zero time to do this, and I'm kind of stressing out because I'm not going to be able to finish this tomorrow, and I don't know if I can finish it tonight, but I'm going to try, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, but this week is going to be a bit of a mess getting this episode out. But we'll figure it out, and then next week again, it's probably gonna be a mess again. Honestly, I was, this last week or so has really been like, man, I need to make this podcast bi-weekly. Like I've really been thinking about it. However, instead of weekly. But however, like I said, school is kind of winding down here soon. It's not winding down quite yet, but it's gonna be winding down pretty soon. So, I'm like, man, there's still like, I don't know, 30 days, 40 days or something, 40 days, something like that, until school's out. But at the same time, that's, what? It's like 6 podcast episodes, right? So if we measure it in weeks instead, it's actually a lot less time. So, I guess it just depends, how you think about it. But depending on the measure, it's actually not that long until it's done. But, we'll just have to see, right? So, I don't know. I've been busy, and when am not busy, I've been making myself busy doing other things. So I don't know. I mean, to be fair though, I think it's partially because I came back from Easter break. I came back from Easter break, and I was like, I went back to school, and I was like, man, I have no time now. And I think it's just one of those things where you come back from some time off, and all of a sudden you feel like there's no time to do anything because you had all the time in the world before, and now suddenly you've got very little. So I don't know. It's whatevs. I shouldn't really complain too much, because, like I said, in probably 2 weeks' time or so, things will start winding down again. I will have like final tests and stuff in like a month or so, but I mean that's that stuff's easy. So whatevs. Yeah, things are hopefully going to be winding down real soon. But not for games though. For games, things are going to be winding on up because we have all sorts of game news that's going to be happening over the next couple months. I mean, I guess it's not going to be like crazy busy in May, but of course there's going to be that huge like hype cycle leading up to, well, the Switch 2 and the Game Awards and that kind of stuff. Honestly, in a weird way, I was like, after the lame Mario Kart World short direct, I was like, man, maybe now they'll announce like a Donkey Kong Bonanza direct. They'll do a Donkey Kong Bonanza direct, and then with that they'll announce the Metroid Prime 4 direct, and they'll just keep doing direct after direct. But no, they did not. They did not do that. Which, I mean, makes sense. I'm not like saying that they should have, but it just kind of would have been funny, if we got that direct on March 27th, and then we got the presentation on April 2nd, and then we got Mario Kart World on the 17th. Maybe we got Bonanza this week, or maybe next week, and then we got Metroid Prime in a couple weeks. Like, it just would have been kind of funny if it just kept going. It just never stopped with the directs. But I totally understand as well. Speaking of the directs, it's kind of an interesting prospect. I've been thinking, like, are we gonna get a June direct? Like, I don't know. Maybe the April presentation was replacing the June direct, because that would make a lot of sense. There's nothing like outright saying they have to have a June direct. It's just that because of E3, that's kind of when everybody has decided to give out the biggest news, and definitely like Summer Games Fest has filled that void a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just because historically E3 was the big thing. That's when all the game announcements happened, and so even when E3 ceased to exist, that's still when the game announcements were happening. So I don't know. I guess that's just why you know June's always been the time. So, but there's nothing actually saying that Nintendo has to do something in June. If this year is going to be a rarity because of the Switch 2, then I think that's totally fair. But at the same time, they might still do something in June. I guess the point is that maybe it could be a little too close to the launch. They launch a console and then like 2 weeks later they're already talking about new games. I mean, I guess that could actually be good though too if you think about it. It could be like really good momentum. They're like, hey, you just bought this console. Well, guess what? It was worth your time because here we got all this other stuff. Or they'll be like, oh, look at all these people that didn't buy the console. Well, you're going to want to now because we've got, freaking, I don't know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus, like to go alongside Mario Kart World. I don't know. Donkey Kong Donkey Kong Country returns HD 4K. I don't, maybe it's something like that. But anyways, so they're going to have some stuff. I don't know. Maybe June will have a direct. Maybe it won't. I imagine there will at least be a September direct this year. And I would guess also the September direct is going to be a pretty big deal. But the question is there also going to be a June direct? I don't know. In September, I mean, that's still pretty far away. We've got a number of months, a few months. We've got a few months before September. So I don't want to be too speculatory on the September direct when it's not even quite May, although it is almost May. To be honest, I think. Well, you guys are seeing this on April 30th, so it's just about May when you guys are seeing this. For me, it's the 28th still. But yeah, it's almost May. We're getting to May. We had all this rain, because it's April. Now it's gonna be May, and it's gonna be May, right? Anyway, anyways, doesn't matter. So. Yeah, I've been slacking on the Xbox filing. I still need to do that. Hopefully, I mean, I know I said last week I was going to come next week and have it, and I didn't. But I'm just going to say it again this week. I think next episode. Well, actually, I really shouldn't say that because I'm going to be busy. I'm going to say it anyway. I think next episode I'll have the Xbox games filed, and I'll be able to give you a final tally of how many games I have. That's my plan. I was also talking about the pop figures last time. I haven't packed any of those up just yet. I'm excited to, though, because as soon as I pack those up, I'll be able to put some more games on the shelf and stuff. Well, I mean, everything's on shelves. It's just that some of it's not all together. Like, the Xbox One and Series X games are in, like, 3 different spots because I just have, like, no space for stuff. So as soon as those pop figures are down, I'll be able to start spreading things out a little better. Some more consoles that are put away will be on better display, and it'll be great. I don't think it's going to, like, create a ton of room, but it'll create a pretty good amount of room for sure. So that'll be exciting. But that's not happening just yet. I don't know when that's happening. Probably not for a little while. But I would like to get things in better order with the collection and with the shelves and stuff before I do the collection tour, which I'm still planning to do in July. Because July is going to be that big month with hopefully a bunch of videos and a bunch of special things and stuff, and hopefully in July. But yeah, I don't know. I still got to plan all that stuff out. I probably do need to like actually make a cohesive plan as far as like, hey, okay, here's the 10 videos I'm gonna make. I'm kind of thinking of like maybe I could do daily live streams in July, but then I'm like, you know what? Do I really have the am I really? Maybe I'm gonna have something come up. I don't know. We'll see. So I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not gonna speculate too much. But I did say I was gonna come back to streaming and come back to videos and all this stuff, and I still have not done that. So I'm just kind of slacking, to be honest. I'm also a little bit busy, but I'm also just a bit of a slacker, and I go to try to make a video, and I don't like the way it's turning out, and then I'm just like, yeah, no, I just cancel it, or I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work out for me very well. So whatevs. I do imagine videos will come again. I think really what I need to do is make some Let's Plays and do some live streams because those are far easier to make. And once I make a few of those, I'll get back in the groove of things, and that'll promote me to want to make the bigger videos. I'm hoping that's the plan. So hopefully I can do that. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna. Well, I say I'm not gonna promise anything, but here I am promising things. So I can't be trusted, right? But anyways, but yeah, I mean, as you can tell, I am yapping a little bit here today. It'd be a lot easier for me to kill some time, if you guys would email the show. You can email the show at notjustnintendo@gmail.com. That is NOTJUSTNINTENDO@gmail.com. You can email the show. You can email any questions, any comments, any, I guess, concerns, any thoughts on Switch 2 or on Doom the Dark Ages or Summer Games Fest or whatever else, whatever you want. Maybe you want to talk about. I don't know. I don't know what you want to talk. Anything you want to talk about, you can email the show. You can leave a comment on YouTube, and if the show still exists on Spotify when you're seeing this, you can leave a comment on Spotify as well because it's there, right? So you can do all that stuff, and I will answer those questions, those emails, those comments, those whatever you wanna post. And I actually just thought about it too. I've got to get back to making Geoja videos as well because some of those were getting like crazy views. Like I did a couple of those Geoja videos, and then I just did not check in on Geoja for a little while. But then suddenly I looked back at it and I was like, oh my god, this couple of these videos have like 200 views. There's only like 3 videos, and they all did pretty well. Um, it was doing crazy well. And so I had some ideas for some Geoja videos, but I want to be back and making the main channel content regularly before I start worrying about Geoja. I guess 4 videos I had made. Before I start worrying about Geoja, I want to be back to consistently making stuff on the main channel. So that's kind of where I'm at. But yeah, I don't know if I really put the same effort into both channels, and I put a lot of effort into both channels. I actually think Geoja could possibly overtake the main one. I don't know if I really want that though, because I'd like to be able to focus on the main channel and not have to worry as much about Geoja. But I don't know. I mean, what else? If it takes off, it takes off, right? I'm not gonna complain. Well, I'll find a way, right? But anyways, yes. I have not really gone back to Mario Kart 64 too much. I mean, I have this giant list of things that I'm technically working on. We still have Gran Turismo here. I have not played any Gran Turismo since last week. We have Doom here that I have added since last week. I played about an hour of it, and like I said, I'm a little stuck on like the 4th level or something. Metroid Prime Remastered, I have not been back to for a few weeks, maybe a month. Probably actually over a month. It's probably been since February. Then Infamous, that one I was just playing yesterday. Infamous is kind of my big thing right now that I'm playing. There's like 3 different main areas in the game. You start in one section of a city, and then as you go through the game, later on you can open up another big section of the city. I think it's actually probably about the same size as the first section. And then there's a 3rd section that looks to be about half the size. It looks to be quite a bit smaller, but still, fairly large. There's a 3rd section as well. That presumably you open up later in the game. So I'm on the 2nd section, but I think I'm actually getting pretty close to being done with that section. So I would say I'm at least halfway through the game. I could actually be more than halfway through the game because, like I said, that last section seems to be a little bit shorter, a little bit on the shorter side. So I would say I'm more than, well, I'd say I'm like about 2/3 maybe actually Maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. Hard to say, really, but I'm making good progress, anyways, on Infamous. I don't think I'm gonna hop right into Infamous 2. Well, I could. I don't know. It's hard to say. I was thinking of having a game on PS3 and on Wii U, but now that I think about it, I could probably knock out a couple games on PS3 and then basically finish all the stuff I want to play on PS3 and then just go do the same on Wii U. So I could do it either way, really. I don't really know which way I want to do it. So I don't know, because I'm always playing something on Switch, kind of. I mean, I take some there's some hiatuses here and there. Like I haven't played anything on Switch in probably 4 or 5, probably 5 or 6 days. You know, I go sometimes a week at a time without really playing anything on Switch. But on every other console, I can go up to a month, at a time. I mean, well, some consoles it's been years, but you know what I mean. Like generally, like the PS3, right? Maybe after I play Infamous, there's a chance I might not come back to the PS3 for a couple months. Especially with Switch 2 and stuff. Several months maybe. The Wii U, I haven't been back to the Wii U. I haven't played anything on the Wii U since February? No, yeah, early January. I don't know. It's January or February. Um, and like the PS5 has been a little bit more recent. I was playing the PS5, uh, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But still, you can see what I'm saying. So there's some consoles that I've been back to and more recently. I guess really, the one I've played most recently is the PS3, then the Switch, then actually the PS1 for some reason, because I was playing Gran Turismo, and then the PS5 because I was playing Persona 3. Persona 3 Reload. Speaking of Persona 3, I know I've been talking about this for the last few weeks, but I'm really excited. I know it's not even happening yet, so maybe I shouldn't be too excited, but supposedly this Persona 4 remake is actually happening. That's the rumor going around. It's not confirmed or anything, but that's the rumor. And I really hope it happens because I definitely want to play Persona 4, and it would be a lot better an experience for me if it was remade in some capacity. And then I could also play a new game. I could play it as it was coming out, get in with the hype and stuff. And I don't know, but would I pick that up day one? I don't know. It's hard to say. I guess it depends on when it comes out, really. If it comes out on June 5th, then I think I'm going to be a little bit busy. If it comes out in, like, September, who knows? If it comes out in, like, the holiday season, maybe I'll just, get it at Christmas or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. If it comes out early in the year, next year, then I might grab it on day one because there's nothing else to play. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's really going to depend on when the game, assuming this actually does happen, it'll depend on when the game comes out and when other things are coming out around it to see if I'm actually going to play it. I know in the last week, Sonic Time Shadow Generations, or Sonic X Shadow, I don't know what you want to call it, the Sonic and Shadow game, that got confirmed for day one on Switch 2, which is actually kind of exciting. I actually kind of want it, in a way. Like, I kind of have wanted to play that game. I really didn't want to grab the Switch version, though, because I imagined it probably didn't run too great. And I think a good excuse for another Switch 2 game would be great. Now, I don't know, if this game is like $80, then maybe I'll just buy it on PS5 instead, because I think it's already down to like 50 there. But if it comes out at like 50 or even 60, I might even pay 70 for it, pay a little bit more for Switch 2 version. But I would guess like 60 is my guess, is what they'll do. A lot of the third-party games will probably come out at 60 on Switch 2, is my guess. And honestly, a lot of the first-party games will probably come out at 60 too. I think it's just certain games will be more or less, or that's my assumption, which I think is good to a point. I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe Mario Kart World's a little overpriced, but like Donkey Kong Bonanza at 70, I'm not complaining about that. That sounds great. I mean, it is what it is, right? We all knew games were going to have to go back to 70. I mean, really, Nintendo's been the last holdout of not $70 games, and I think everybody expected the 70. The 80 was what kind of surprised some people, and then IGN lied to everybody and spread misinformation about it being $90 instead. And people picked that up, so thankfully that wasn't true. But anyways, so. rest of the episode, I thought we could talk a little bit about GameCube Switch Online for Switch 2. I've mentioned, I've talked about this a little bit before, because it is a big deal, and I mean it's an interesting thing, right? To have GameCube Switch Online, um, and I guess what I wanted to talk about was of the games coming, which ones am I interested in playing, and then from there, I'll probably get into a little bit some ones that I think are missing that we could possibly, we could have on Switch Online. Now, I think there aren't any confirmed dates for these things besides the first three, which we know are on launch day. So on launch day, we have three games. We have Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. The Wind Waker, I will say, this is the one that by far I am the most excited to play of the games announced. Um, Wind Waker is a little expensive on GameCube. It's not that bad on Wii U, but I've always assumed that it was going to come to Switch or Switch 2, with, a enhanced support or something. It never did. Here we are in 2025. It still hasn't. And I don't think it's going to now. But to have it on the GameCube Switch Online service is good enough for me. I'll happily play it on the GameCube service rather than going and buying the Wii U copy for like 50, $60 or whatever it is now. I think it's getting a little up there. It's not like too insane, but it's getting up there. So the Wind Waker, I've played a few Zelda games now. I'm still working on like Ocarina of Time and stuff. I've got some more to play. I've got to really finish Ocarina of Time before Switch 2 so I can play Wind Waker. But yeah, Wind Waker is like by far the game that I most want to play from the GameCube Switch Online. And the funny thing is even though it's a Zelda game, there's actually a lot I don't know about Wind Waker because I've kind of tried to avoid a lot of things because I wanted to play it. So, I mean, like the basic story and stuff, I mean, everybody knows that. But there's like a few, I think there's smaller details and stuff, like the dungeons and, I don't know, some of the islands you go to. I know very little about Wind Waker. So I'm very excited to get to play that on Switch 2, and I'm happy that it's one of the launch titles. I will say the other two launch titles seem like weird ones, but I think that one is a good one to launch with. And I'm hopeful, I guess I could talk a little bit now about a game that I want to see. I'm hopeful that The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess will also get the same treatment, or maybe that one will get an enhanced port. That would be great too. But I assume that it'll probably also come to Switch Online. So that would be pretty cool. Because then I could play that as well. Although I will say, Twilight Princess, I played some of it on Wii. It's kind of bad, but I think it's mostly the Wii version that I think was bad. I would love to play the Wii U version instead. The problem is the Wii U version's like obscenely expensive. So if the GameCube version comes out, I'll try to play that, and hopefully it's not terrible, like the Wii version is. Maybe I can get through it, but I'd like to play the Wii U version. It's just so expensive, so. If they did an enhanced port of Twilight Princess, that would be even better. But I'm thinking they won't. I'm thinking they'll do it just like they did with this. So that was the first game, Wind Waker. The second one that is also coming out on launch day. I mean, there's no particular order for these games, so for me, it's the second one. Is F-Zero GX. Of course, F-Zero. This is the last real F-Zero game, other than I guess F-Zero 99 or 99 they did a couple years ago now. But this was the last like mainline F-Zero game on GameCube. It was the last one just in general as well. And F-Zero, I don't have much of a history with F-Zero. I have played a little bit of the Super Nintendo one on the Switch Online service. And well, I mean, I say the Super Nintendo one. It's literally just called F-Zero. That like there's no subtitle or anything. I've played a little bit of that. It's I don't know. It's fine. I don't know. It was a little hard to be honest. I wasn't really feeling it too much. It was maybe a little too hard. But I don't know. It was fine. I can respect the game. I don't personally enjoy it too much, but it may be something that I go back to at some point. I have not tried any of Maximum Velocity, or the other one on GBA. What's that other one called? Climax. That's what it was. F-Zero Climax. But I think it only came out in Japan, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. And then I think there was maybe a spin-off on Game Boy Advance as well. But anyways, it doesn't matter. There weren't that many games. I have Maximum Velocity. I've never played it. I have it on Game Boy Advance, like the cart. I've never played it. I think Maximum Velocity is probably also on Switch Online, so if I was going to play it again, I would probably just do it on Switch Online. But I do have the cart for that as well. I don't even know why that. I don't even know how that came about that I have that. I almost think my mom found it, like, and I don't think she ever played it, but she like found it somewhere. I don't know. But anyways, doesn't matter. So F-Zero GX, I guess what I'll say about F-Zero GX, I'm happy it's there. I think it's one of the ones that has to be there. Um, and I guess it'll be interesting for a lot of people playing that online and stuff. Personally, I probably won't get into any of that. But, you know, I guess my thing with F-Zero is I have very little history with the series. The little bit that I've played, I haven't liked too much. And I do kind of want to play F-Zero GX, but I'm not entirely sure I'll like it. So I'll probably try it, and then if I like it, I'll keep going with it, as my guess. And I don't think I'll play it right on launch. I think I'll probably wait a little bit. We'll see, though. I don't know. It'll depend on how much stuff I buy for Switch 2 on launch, because I'm sure I want to play a lot of stuff. I say that I don't even know for sure that I'm getting it on launch, but I'm sure I'll get it pretty early. Probably still in June at least. So I don't know how much is really going to be out to play. Depending on how much is out, I might buy. Um, I might play F Zero GX. We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, there's not really anything else related to F Zero GX as well that I want on Switch Online. So I'll move on. And then the last one that is going to be there on launch is Soul Calibur 2. Soul Calibur 2. This is a fighting game. It's known for its weapons master mode, weapon master. I don't know, something like that. But Soul Calibur is like it's got like swords and physical weapons. It's it's a fighting game with those kind of weapons. Um, and I mean I think there's like 6 or 7 Soul Calibur games, just quite a few. But anyways, this is Soul Calibur 2 on GameCube. The unique thing about Soul Calibur 2 is that there were 3 different versions for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. And I think each of them had a unique character. I'm pretty sure even the PlayStation one did. I know the Xbox one did. I can't remember who it is. Um, I'm pretty sure the PlayStation one did too. But everybody knows Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube version because Link was in the GameCube version. They added Link in exclusively for the GameCube version. Um, and you can play as him with the Master Sword and stuff. So that's pretty cool, and it makes me want to kind of try Soul Calibur 2. I'll probably try it out. I don't think I'll. I mean, I know there is a little bit of a like. There's that weapon master mode. You can play that like it's a single player thing. I probably won't get into any of that. I'll probably just try a few random matches, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then that'll probably be it. I don't think I'll really um, get into this too much. I think there was another Soul Calibur on GameCube Switch Online, but I'm not sure that we necessarily need it because I mean, I think having the one more popular one is probably plenty enough as far as an offering for Switch Online on GameCube. So I guess we'll move on from that. We have Super Mario Sunshine is the next one. Now, I will say now we're in the territory of games that aren't coming out on launch. These are coming out later on. We don't know when even. I'm pretty sure none of these we know when. I think all of them are unconfirmed. But we do know that they're all coming. They announced they're coming. We just don't know when. So Super Mario Sunshine. Honestly, this game probably should have been one of the launch ones for GameCube Switch Online. I would have thought. Honestly, I think I mean, Soul Calibur 2, it makes sense to put it on there. I'm not sure it's the best one to launch the thing. I think F-Zero GX is a fine enough multiplayer thing. I think you probably do want an online multiplayer thing for the service. So you would probably put on either F-Zero GX or like Double Dash or Melee. But I don't think Melee is going to come at all. And Double Dash I think will come later because they don't want to like put out 2 Mario Kart games on the same day because they could space those out better and keep people happier for longer. So that's what I think what's happening here with the Mario Kart Double Dash not being one of these games. But anyways, I guess my point is I think Sunshine should have probably replaced Soul Calibur 2, and then Soul Calibur 2 could have come out later, like Sunshine is. And they could have had Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Super Mario Sunshine. I mean, I know that for the hardcore Nintendo fans, it's maybe not as appealing because, lots of people still play Sunshine on Wii or on GameCube, but also because of 3D All Stars, right? A lot of people did buy 3D All Stars, and you can play Sunshine on there, and it's better, right? It's in widescreen and stuff. However, the general person did not buy 3D All Stars, like the average person. And presumably there might be a few people as well that grab a Switch 2 that never grabbed a Switch 1, and 3D All-Stars is getting hard to find, it's getting expensive. So I guess it makes sense. And also, if we think about this in 8 years, there's a good chance in 8 years that, it's almost impossible to find 3D All-Stars copies. And I mean, who knows? Maybe this Switch 2 online service carries over to the next Nintendo console, right? So, maybe 8, 16 years, 24 years, 32 years, who knows? Or it could be, maybe 7 years of life cycle, but it doesn't matter. The point is, in 30 years or so, if this is still on the online service, I think it's a good thing to have, right? I don't think it's something that is like, oh man, we've already got that. We got that on Switch 1, I think it's actually a good thing to have on there anyways. Have it available for more people and, have it available for longer, time, especially when the other release of it is so limited. I think it makes a lot of sense. But personally, obviously, I like Sunshine. Sunshine's probably in my top 5 games of all time because it's a 3D Mario game, and most of those are up in the top. And Sunshine's a great game, a fantastic game. That said, I'm not sure I'll really be playing much of this. I'll probably try it out, here and there. Because I have 3D All-Stars, and on 3D All-Stars, you can play the game in widescreen. So, personally, that's my favorite way to play Sunshine, is on 3D All-Stars. Now, like 64, I like playing... Actually, I really don't like 64 on the Switch Online service because of its controls on the Switch Online service. It's terrible. So, personally, when I play 64, I either play it on 3D All-Stars or actually just on the 64. I'm totally cool playing 64 on the 64. Sunshine, I don't really play on the GameCube or Wii very much. I have in the past a few times, but almost every time I play it on 3D All-Stars. And then Galaxy, I never play on 3D All-Stars. I always play that on Wii. Wii U, actually. I play it on a Wii U. But anyways, I got into a little side tangent there. But yeah, Super Mario Sunshine, personally, I'll probably still just play it on 3D All-Stars because it works fine on there. It's in widescreens. It's going to be a better version, probably. I guess the only thing you're, missing out on is, save states. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess that could come in handy occasionally, but I probably wouldn't make use of it very much. I don't think I'm really going to use save states for any of these GameCube games because, as far as I'm concerned, GameCube games are quite modern. And you usually don't... There's really not any good reason to use save states most of the time, I would say, for GameCube games. But, maybe that's just me. So yeah, Sunshine, I will probably try it out, and maybe there's a situation where in the future, if I'm playing Sunshine just by myself, and for no particular reason, then maybe I will play it on Switch Online just because you can load it up quick and you don't have to get a cart and stuff. However, if I'm recording it or something or live streaming it, then I will probably still play it on 3D All-Stars because then I can have it in widescreen. And the resolution's up as well, so it's going to look better, it's going to be at widescreen. It's a better thing to record it that way. But, I mean, maybe every now and then I play this on the GameCube service. We'll see, There's nothing, I don't really think of anything else related to Sunshine specifically. I'll talk more about games I want to see on there in the end. The next game is one that I'm very excited about. I don't think I'm actually, well, I don't know. I will probably play it at some point. I'm not excited necessarily to play it, but I'm excited that it's on here, and that game is Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I might play this. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't played a Fire Emblem yet. I'm still kind of looking to get into it. Still thinking about that. I was going to play some fan translations of the old ones, but I was actually... Then I kind of decided maybe I should just start with one of the more modern ones. Maybe not the most... maybe not, Three Houses or Engage or something, but maybe, Awakening or something like that, Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Still thinking about it. But, I was thinking of trying to get into Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I don't think it should be my first one, but I could probably play it at some point. We'll see. I don't know. It's possible. I guess really why I'm excited about this on Switch Online, though, is because Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is $200 or some ridiculous, it's something ridiculous, complete. It's $200 or something. So if you actually want this game, you're forking out, a ridiculous amount of money. And I mean, that's the case with quite a few GameCube games, but this one is one of the more well-known ones because it's first party, right? It's one of the more expensive ones, and it's also first party, so... it's kind of crazy to be spending that much for a first-party game as well. You would think that it would stay, somewhat affordable. But no, it has not stayed somewhat affordable. It's very much unaffordable. So, I think they did this partially because it's Fire Emblem, and it's one of their biggest series, right? But I also think Nintendo did this because they know how difficult it's getting to find this game, and they wanted to kind of throw us a bone. They're like, well, we can make it a lot easier for everybody to play this game. And also, I mean, there could also be a point to be made that maybe they did this to limit emulation. Because I mean, as far as games that get emulated, this is going to be one of the more common ones because it's a well-known Nintendo series, and there are very limited copies of GameCube games. And generally, I'm like very against emulation. However, I can totally understand why someone might emulate this game. Because again, it's one of those like um, I want to say it's like tentpole, but it's a big Nintendo franchise. Not back then it wasn't, but nowadays it's a big Nintendo franchise. So a lot of people want to play all the games, and this one is nearly impossible to actually play on GameCube for the most people. I mean, there are crazy people. I'm actually probably one of those crazy people that one of these days may very well end up buying Path of Radiance on GameCube just to have it, even though it's $200 because I'm stupid and I'm crazy. But I understand that for the most people that doesn't make any sense because it doesn't make sense for me to do it either. But I'm just probably gonna do it anyway because I'm stupid. I understand that makes no sense to do. So it's almost one of those things where I can sort of understand why you would emulate it. Until now, now that it's getting on Switch Online, there's no reason to emulate it. Play it on Switch Online. So that's my opinion. I mean, you can have whatever opinion you want, but that's my opinion. So Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, I am kind of excited to have on Switch Online. I might end up playing it there, but I might not as well. And really, I'm happy to have it, mostly just because it's a Fire Emblem game. It's super expensive. The next game, I know like very little about this game, is Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. I have heard about this, but I really know very little. Um, so this game is a lot like the Pokemon Coliseum games. They were Pokemon Coliseum. I almost think it's a little bit like Pokemon Stadium too. It's another one of those like uh fighting sort of fighting game. Not really. I don't know if it's. I mean, kind of. I don't know. I guess it's hard. I don't really know much about this game. I'm not really one that should be talking about it too much. I want to think. But anyways, I don't know. It's a Pokemon spin-off. It's coming to Switch Online. I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? But I'm personally. I mean, maybe I'll play it a little bit just cause like just cause I'm bored. But I doubt I'm gonna have any real interest in this. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't, I just don't I don't care. We'll get just move on to the next one. The next one, Super Mario Strikers. A lot of people say this is one of the best, or some people will go as far to say this is the best Mario sports game. Not that they're known for being particularly good, but every now and then they're all right. Super Mario Strikers, this is a soccer Mario game. As far as real life sports go and watching them, I don't really watch a whole lot of sports, but I do think soccer is one of the more entertaining ones. I personally very much enjoy soccer. However, I don't watch it much because I play too many video games to be watching stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like that's one of those things. People will be like, "Oh, what was the last movie you watched?" I'm like, I don't know, man, like 3 months ago. I don't watch a ton of movies. Watch Star Wars stuff. I watch Marvel stuff. Although I'm very behind on that stuff, but that's kind of it. I don't watch hardly anything else because I'm busy playing video games. But anyways, I don't even watch a whole lot of YouTube anymore. And so soccer falls into that category. Like I just don't care enough. Considering I play video games and stuff. I guess like the World Cup, I'll probably watch that stuff. I don't watch like UEFA or anything. I definitely don't watch the Premier League, but I have every now and then, and when I do, I enjoy it. So I guess that's where I'm going with this. But anyways, my point is, Super Mario Strikers is supposed to be a really good Mario game, and it's actually very unsoccer like from everything I've heard. It's like crazy and weird and a lot of weird stuff going on at once. So I am excited to kind of play this. I don't think I'll actually play it like too much because I don't think there's any sort of campaign or anything. But I will probably try it at least a little bit. Give it a shot. Play a few matches or rounds or whatever games. I don't know. And just for the fun of it, right? But I doubt I'll play this a ton. I could actually see this as something that I play a little bit on my own just to get some footage for games or something, or for videos or something. Put in the background. I could see that happening. So we'll see. I don't know. I might play this a little bit. I don't think there were really a ton of Mario sports games on GameCube. I know there was Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. And I don't know if that. Hold on, was that one of the ones? I have a list here. No, that was not one of the ones announced. Okay, well, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour should probably come as well. I have a list here. Let's see of all the sports games on GameCube because I get some confused sometimes as far as which one came out on what. Okay, okay. Mario Power Tennis was the one on GameCube. Okay, Mario Power Tennis. I think honestly, probably all of these should come at some point or another. So put Mario Power Tennis on here. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. I brought that up. That's actually a lot of people's one of the favorites as well, as far as, uh, you know, what am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying. As far as Mario sports games go. And then the only other one, yeah, Strikers, that one's coming. Oh, Superstar Baseball was on GameCube. Okay, I thought that was on Wii, honestly, but okay. All right. So yeah, put the baseball game, put the Toadstool Tour, and put whatever the other one is. Oh, Mario Tennis. Yeah, why not put those on there? There are some other Mario Tennis games and Mario Golf games on there, so they might as well. I guess I can understand if they leave off baseball. I don't think that one was particularly popular, but having Strikers on there is definitely good. It's a lot of people's favorite, but then put Toadstool Tour and Power Tennis on there as well. Might as well, right? And again, like I said, I'll probably try this out a little bit. Then one of the first ones, like when they showed, it was on the presentation, they had showed off a few GameCube games, and then the rest of them were kind of scrolling across the screen. And it was like showing you all the other ones that were going to maybe come at some point to the service. And I want to say it was the first one there on the left side was Luigi's Mansion. And honestly, I could see an argument that Luigi's Mansion should have been a launch title as well. But I think 3 is also a good number. So I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on it. But Luigi's Mansion, of course, was a launch title for the GameCube. It was actually kind of one of the only things, which was kind of a weird launch title back then. But I think it ended up working out. Well, actually, it really didn't work out. I guess that's why the GameCube failed so well, or failed so much. But still. It's a good game, though. In hindsight, it's a good game. I was thinking about playing this on 3DS, but I kind of wanted to play it more on GameCube because I like home consoles better and stuff. So this coming to Switch Online is definitely going to be a perfect opportunity for me to play this game. I have no idea when this is coming. I could see this very well being a October, like October 31st. They might literally put it out on Halloween. Or maybe the Thursday before, after, or whatever, depending on when Halloween is. If it's like a Sunday, they might not. But anyways, I know in the past there's been times where they've put out games on Halloween for Luigi's Mansion. Like Luigi's Mansion 3 came out on Halloween. I almost want to say Dark Moon might have as well, but I don't know. But anyways, so that time slot is good for Luigi's Mansion, and they might do that again just to kind of, I don't know, just cause that's when you put out a Luigi's Mansion game, right? So they might do that. They might put it out in October sometime, and I think that would be a good slot as well because there's not a whole lot. I mean, you need to really ramp up this year a little bit more than they have because you know I don't know. There's just not that. There's not a whole lot going on considering it's the launch here. Feels like they could do a little bit more, and I think putting some GameCube games on there here and there is good to do. I will say another just a little side tangent I want to get into a little bit is that I think they should put out GameCube games and stuff through the whole Switch 2's life cycle. Obviously, Nintendo's all about their drip feed. I'm sure we'll get like 3 games. I don't know, 3 games a year. They'll be like, all right, coming for this 3 month period. No, I mean, they're not quite that bad. You usually get something every month from Switch Online. You see it in their trailers. They're like, okay, this month's offerings for Switch Online. Like they've kind of tried to make it a monthly thing lately. It used to not be that way, but lately that's how it's been. And they usually add 2 or 3, maybe even 4 things a month, which is just good, and they mix it up a little bit every now and then. It's 64 games. I think more often than not, it's Game Boy or Game Boy Advance games. It seems like lately. So I imagine with the GameCube service being the new one, they'll probably add GameCube games more often here for the next few years, right? But I hope that they also still add a few Game Boy Advance games, a few. I mean, I don't know, like NES games. Maybe they're not quite as necessary, but they still add them every now and then. If they add more NES games, great. I don't think there's any like particularly that I'm like really really needing on NES, or Super Nintendo for that matter. I think for the most part, it's like 64 and on that I want a lot of games for, and the handhelds as well because I never really played a ton of the handhelds. Um, so I think that's where I'm at is I think they should still not leave the other consoles behind. And I'm more talking specifically about the 64 because there's still a lot of stuff missing on the 64 and we don't get enough games on Switch Online for the 64. So I hope that if they keep putting out GameCube games, they still put out like 64 games and other stuff of the sort. So I just wanted to get into that because I just think that's an important point to bring up. All right, so we got 2 more that are actually confirmed. I'll talk quickly about the one and then I'll talk a little bit more about the other one. The first next one that was actually confirmed for Switch Online was Pokemon Colosseum. And again, when I was talking about Pokemon XD, I mentioned Pokemon Coliseum, and I really know like very little about this game or really any of the Pokemon spin-offs. Honestly, I don't even know that much about the main series games, but especially the spin-offs, I really just do not know what I'm talking about when it comes to those games. But you know, I mean, I don't know. Pokemon Coliseum, I think it's like a fighting game, right? But it's got a campaign and stuff. I don't know. Anyways, I might have just sounded like a complete idiot. I often do. But Pokemon Coliseum, it's coming to Switch Online. I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. I doubt I'll play it much. I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'll love it and I'll like play it all through and I'll be like, oh, that was great. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Who knows? But yes, I mean, I think it's another one that it's probably good it's here because it's a Pokemon game. Pokemon games do well, and I think a lot of people will play this. I know I've heard a lot of good things about Pokemon Stadium over the years, so I do imagine that this will, perform well, right? So then the last game that they actually did confirm, I almost think this might have been the last one as well as it scrolled by, was Chibi Robo. So Chibi Robo, I'm excited about this for a couple reasons, and this is another one that I will definitely play when it comes out. As far as games I'll actually definitely play through, I'll even say games that I'll play through. The Windwaker, I'll definitely play through that when that drops. I might play through Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. I'll definitely play through Luigi's Mansion, and I'll probably play through Chibi Robo. So those are the four that I'm most excited about. Chibi Robo, of course, is a pretty well-known game on GameCube, and one of the reasons it's well-known. I mean, first of all, it's a 3D platformer. It's supposedly really good, but I think another reason why it's so well-known is because it's so expensive. Just like Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Although I think Chibi Robo is maybe even a little more expensive. I don't know. I think they're pretty close, but anyways, these two games, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Chibi Robo, are obscenely expensive. It's insane. I mean, they're over $200 for complete copies. I don't know. They might even be over 200 for loose copies. I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, I know they're very expensive, and it's another great one to have on the service because it's so expensive and it's so inaccessible to basically everybody. I mean, there's you got some people out there, but the majority of people can't buy this game. They can't justify spending $200, which I totally understand. Um, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's one you necessarily need to spend $200 on, but if you can find it, it might be worthwhile because I've heard it's really good. So now that it's on Switch Online, or it's not yet, but it will be on Switch Online here soon. I hope. I don't know. Maybe it'll be like 5 years from now. I assume it'll come relatively soon. I assume all of the games they announced here will come probably within the next year, I would think. Maybe next year and a half or so, but I doubt that any of these games will come out after 2026. I'm assuming all of these games will be in 2025 or in 2026. That's my guess, but who knows? I could be totally wrong. Maybe they'll all come in 2025, or maybe they'll be spaced out all the way through the whole Switch 2 generation, which would kind of suck, to be honest. I don't want to be living in a world where 3 years from now, we finally get Luigi's Mansion, and then 5 years from now, we finally get Chibi Robo. I don't want to live in that world. I mean, I guess I'll take it, whatever, it's fine. Better than nothing, right? But it's still not great. So I hope that this stuff comes every month or so. They drop one or two at once, every month, and they get it out of the way, and I don't know. I mean, I think if they did that, they would probably be done at the start of next year, I would think, right? Pretty quickly, I would think. So, who knows? They might do that, they might not. I don't know. It's hard to say with Nintendo. But either way, I'm still happy that these games are coming eventually, whether it happens, in 3 months or whether it happens in 2 years or 5 years. I don't know. I'm still happy that they're coming. So Chibi Robo, I definitely want to play this game. I'm a big 3D platformer guy. I've heard this is a good game. Maybe I'll hate it. I don't know. But I imagine I'll probably enjoy it at least a little bit. And so I'm excited to get around to playing it. And I think it's a really good one for them to have on the service because it's not particularly well known, but they do like to put things that are a little bit less well known on the Switch Online service. But it is still well known enough that a lot of people know about it. I guess that was kind of a weird thing to say, wasn't it? But anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. And also, it's really hard for people to get, and it's pretty desirable because apparently it's a good game. So that's it's in the same boat as Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. And so that's why I think it's a good pick for Switch Online. So that's all the confirmed games for Switch Online. I will be back in a little bit, and I'll talk a little bit about some games that I would like to see. I've already talked a little bit, but some more games that I'd like to see on GameCube Switch Online that aren't yet confirmed and, may never come, but I think I wish they would, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about here soon. We'll get into that in just a minute. Alright, so I think we're gonna probably go pretty quick here, but I'm just gonna kind of name some GameCube games that I think should come to the Switch Online service. Many of these were in my episode a couple months ago. I had a whole Switch Online, or maybe it was actually maybe like a month ago. I don't know. It's been a little while. I had an episode where I did a bunch of Switch Online games I wanted to see. This was before GameCube games had announced. So we have a similar thing here. So I'm just going to list a bunch of games, list why I think they should be on there, and then, you know, maybe a few details about it. Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. So for those who don't know, this game was developed by Silicon Knights, I think, and then published by Nintendo. It was kind of a weird rarity. It's like very much not a Nintendo game, but they published it like last minute on GameCube, and it's like sort of horror-y, I believe, as far as I know. Yeah, but anyways, so this is a very strange game. It's a pretty unique GameCube game. There's not a whole lot of games of the sort, and I think it would be an interesting thing to have on there. And supposedly, it's also pretty good, and I would definitely be interested in checking it out. I don't know if I'd actually really love it, but I would definitely at least check it out. You know, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I have as well. Super Smash Bros. Melee. The problem with Melee is that I'm not entirely sure they'll do it, because with Smash Brothers games, with Mario Kart games, right? They put Mario Kart games on the Switch Online service. They don't usually put Smash Brothers games, and I think that's because they're concerned more about people not buying the Smash Brothers game because there's old ones available. Because there's a lot more people that are fine playing like old Smash Brothers games online. Actually, a lot of them prefer it. Than there are for Mario Kart games. So for Mario Kart games, usually people want the new one, whereas with Smash Brothers, oftentimes people are totally fine, you know, just playing the old ones. In fact, you know, they prefer it oftentimes. But of course, you know, a lot of people say Melee is the best Smash Brothers game. I do think if we get Melee, we have to get Smash 64 as well. I don't think we can have just the one. You know, obviously this was HAL Laboratory and Nintendo, you know, on GameCube. I want to say this was early GameCube too, like 2001. But anyways, I don't actually have a copy of Melee because it's kind of expensive. It's a GameCube game, you know. I don't have much of a GameCube collection at all. I have a few. I have like 13 games or something, and most of them are third party. So I don't have a whole lot. And Melee is one of the ones I don't have, and I'd be interested in trying it out. I don't know if I'd really play it too much, but it'd be just a nice thing to have access to, you know. I'm also going to put on here the Metroid Prime games. They're in a similarly weird spot. Obviously, Metroid Prime 1 and 2. So, of course, Metroid Prime 1 has been re-released. It's on Switch. There's the Metroid Prime Remastered on Switch. I have that. I'm, like, partway through the game. I need to go back to it. But Metroid Prime Remastered looks and plays amazing on the Switch 1. And we probably don't even need another remake of that. I don't see any reason to remake that again on Switch 2. I think we should just keep the Prime 1 version. But there's no reason not to have the original version of Metroid Prime out as well, I guess, other than maybe they're worried it won't sell. So I could see why they might not do it, but I think we probably should have it anyway, just because, you know. And then, of course, Metroid Prime 2 falls into a similar boat. However, Metroid Prime 2 has not been remade on Switch, so Metroid Prime 2 is in a slightly different position in the sense that like I said, it hasn't been released. So, you know, there were the rumors. Originally, Metroid Prime 1, it was leaked that it was going to be remastered, but the leak was that all three Metroid Prime games were going to come out as a trilogy, and they didn't do that. So the rumor was that they actually were originally going to do that, and then they ended up not doing that. And so then the rumor became that 2 and 3 were going to get a collection, and they never did. And so then the rumor was that they were going to come out individually, and they never did. So 2 and 3 we still haven't gotten. Personally, if we don't get 3, that's fine, I guess. I would like to get 2, though. And I would like to get a remaster of it, but, you know, even if we just get it on Switch Online, I think that's acceptable. I would just like to be able to play the game not on GameCube. Of course, this is a big one here, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Of course, I would prefer if we got the enhanced port of the Wii U version of Twilight Princess, but if we got the GameCube version of Twilight Princess, that would be okay as well. I just want this game playable. I've talked a lot about Windwaker, and Twilight Princess would be a similar deal, where I would definitely want to play through this, because, you know, I'm a Zelda fan. I haven't played all the games. There's a lot of games I still need to play, and so having Twilight Princess available on GameCube would be quite amazing. I don't think there's really a whole lot I need to say about that. Animal Crossing. Let's talk about Animal Crossing. So Animal Crossing, you know, Animal Crossing is another one of my favorite series, like Zelda. Animal Crossing
is great. I don't really know where I'm going with this. But Animal Crossing is like specifically a good thing, I think, for Switch Online because I think it would really create a lot of buzz online and stuff. A lot of people would be playing Animal Crossing, old school Animal Crossing, and hopefully a lot of them would realize that it's way better than new Animal Crossing, and maybe we could get a game in that style again. I doubt it, but my point is, I think Animal Crossing would be a great thing to have on here even though I have it on GameCube, and it's totally fine on GameCube. There's nothing wrong with the game on GameCube, but it'd be great if more people could play it because it's a little expensive, and not everybody has a GameCube or a Wii sitting around. I mean, I guess the Wii is fairly common, but I think we're getting to the point where a lot of people are selling those off, or maybe we're already past that point potentially. But anyways, Animal Crossing would definitely be a good one. I could definitely see some people make the argument for Wild World with a DS Switch Online if we get that. Um, and I don't see any reason why we can't have both, right? I mean, might as well, right? So, Animal Crossing, the original on GameCube, we should get that on Switch Online. I also have on here Pikmin 1 and 2. Pikmin 1 and 2, they did have that little remastered collection. Well, I mean, it's more of a port collection, but they have that little collection that came out 2023, not last year, on Switch. I don't actually have it. I do want it, but I figure, we might as well put the games out too. Again, a lot of these things, this is my wish list. I'm not actually thinking that a lot of these things are going to come because, like, you know, Metroid Prime, like the Metroid Prime 1's not going to come because it's already on, it's already on Switch. And Pikmin 1 and 2 aren't going to come because they're already on Switch. But I wish they would. And I guess that's what I'm getting across here. Personally, I've played a little bit of Pikmin. I played Pikmin 3, quite a bit of it. I didn't ever beat it, but I think I got pretty close on Wii U. And for some reason, my disc now is broken. I don't even know what happened. Like, it was in the case, and it somehow broke. Wii U discs can be a little finicky, though, so maybe one day I'll get it resurfaced. But now Pikmin 3 is available on Switch 1 as well, so I'm kind of thinking of just grabbing the Pikmin 3 Deluxe version instead on Switch 1. But anyway, my point is, I have Pikmin 4, but I need to buy the other games and play through the series because what I've played of Pikmin, I definitely enjoy. At one point, I would have called myself a Pikmin fan, even though I'd only played a little bit of 3. But I was younger back then. I had different standards for what made me a fan of a series, so. Anyways, I would definitely want to buy this collection, but if they put it out here on Switch Online instead, then I'll play it there. I'm totally fine by me. I was looking through a list earlier of some of the best GameCube games according to some, I don't know, out of some website, and that's where I wrote this list down. Some of it. I had other things of my own as well, and they had on here the Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, I think it was called, and Rogue Squadron 2. Again, no shot that this would actually come to Switch Online because, Nintendo doesn't actually own the IP or anything. There's no chance that this would actually come. But if it did, I would be thrilled because I'm a Star Wars fan and I like, um, I like Star Wars games. So, but I don't know. Actually, to be honest, I don't always like Star Wars games, but I do like Star Wars, movies and shows, some of them. So, having a Star Wars game to play on Switch Online of all things would be pretty cool. I also put on here Mario Kart Double Dash. This game's a no-brainer. I think it will come. Part of me is a little surprised that they haven't announced it, but at the same time, I think the reason they haven't announced it, and I think I touched on this earlier, is because, they know that they can space Mario Kart World and Double Dash out so that, Mario Kart fans are satiated for longer, right? Instead of, putting them out at once, or, basically at once, and then, they're losing out on, I don't know, and making people happy. I would say. So yes, Double Dash. I think this will come. I'm not at all doubting that Double Dash will come to Switch Online. I think it'll probably come within the next 2 years or so, but it could be later on. We'll see. And Double Dash is the only Mario Kart game I don't have access to, and I'm working on playing through all the Mario Kart games. So Double Dash would be good for me to have because then I could play it. I guess I put on here Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door as well. This is a similar situation with Metroid Prime and with the Pikmin games, where it definitely won't happen because they already have the remastered version, and the remastered versions are better anyways. Um, but I just put it on here just for conversation's sake. I would be happy if they did put this out here. The next one is a little strange. I have Beautiful Joe on here. Beautiful Joe was a artsy looking 2D platformer. Yeah, I think it was a 2D platformer by Capcom. I've heard really good things about it, but I haven't played it. Now I know it's a little strange to have like this. You would think Capcom would just put this out themselves, and if they do that, that's fine by me as well. Um, but I think it would be cool to have Beautiful Joe, and I think Beautiful Joe 2 is a game as well. I think having those two games on Switch Online would be pretty cool. I would definitely play through them. I really don't know much about these games, but I think they would be nice to have on the service. And then the last one on here that I put on here was WarioWare Inc. Mega Party Games. I've never played a WarioWare game, but WarioWare games are supposedly fun and entertaining. And so I was like, all right, it seems like something that a lot of people would be very happy with because, there's a lot of micro games and stuff involved. And so, I don't know. I think I might as well put it on there, right? I don't think it really hurts them in any way, to put it on there. So might as well. I don't even know if the Game Boy Advance games are on there. I don't think so. But they could put them on there. Why not, right? So I put WarioWare on here. Not super familiar with WarioWare, but I would definitely check it out if it was on the service. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think that's basically my whole list of GameCube games I want to see on the service. Of course, I mentioned some things earlier, like the Mario sports games. I mentioned, some other stuff. I can't remember it all because I'm not doing this all at the same time. This episode, I'm doing it in parts, and I am like, I need to get this episode out because it's going to be a little late, uh, because I was very short on time this week. So it's a little bit shorter than normal, and it's going to be a little bit later than normal, and I'm sorry about that. But hopefully that won't happen too much more because pretty soon, I think. Well, no, I know for sure. I was like, I think school will be out. No, school definitely will be out fairly soon. We have a few more episodes, and then it's out. So hopefully, I will have less difficulty making the podcast and stuff then. But as it currently stands, I'm having some problems here and there. So just bear with me here for the next month or so. Thank you all for watching the show. We now have 36 days until the Switch 2 releases, which means next episode it'll be less than a month. I'm also thinking, I don't know if it'll be next episode or sometime in the next, few episodes. I'm thinking of having somebody on the show that I know in person, and to talk about them and their history with video games. I'm kind of thinking about it, so I'm not gonna promise that, but just keep it in mind that I might end up doing that. Either as the episode or maybe just as a bonus episode, depending on how our schedules align and when we can do that. I don't know if that'll be next episode or if that'll be a few episodes from now or if it'll be, months from now. I don't know. I could see it be going several different ways. So I just wanted to kind of let you know on that, and I guess that's it. If you want to email the show with any questions, any things for me to answer, to talk about, any conversation points, because as you can tell, I'm pretty low on conversation points. If you want to email any of that stuff, you can email the show at notjustnintendo@gmail.com. That is notjustnintendo@gmail.com. Notjustnintendo@gmail.com. All one word, no spaces, no nothing. You can also join the Discord. It's for the YouTube and for the podcast. That's in the description. It's not terribly active around there, but every now and then we have a little chat, and the more people, the more active we'll be, I'm sure, because that's tends to be how that works, right? So you can go join that. That'll be fun, and also subscribe. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Spotify, then also go subscribe to the channel. I think it's linked in the description. I don't know. It's not hard to find. Anyways. Thanks all for watching. I am a little busy, so I need to go, but I will see you all next week. I know I haven't put out videos. I know I need to put out videos. I'm not sure if I'll be able to put out videos here much until the end of school, but definitely during the summer, there will be lots of videos. So that's the plan. I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.